Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Riley for Sports Talk on Passionate World Internet Radio. I recently came across an article in WebMD magazine during a trip to the doctor's that discussed Sacramento, California's decision to change the time the opening bell rings from 6 in the morning to 8 or 9 o'clock a.m. for high school students in the city. Aside from wondering why this change didn't happen, say, 10, 15 years ago, my reaction was one of pride in the school board's willingness to look at facts supporting the change instead of simply looking at budget issues. The article cited studies that stated teenagers are at a higher risk of getting in auto accidents on the way to school, falling asleep in class, and apparently even higher rates of depression and truancy. At the meager age of 28, I remember all too well, the feeling of walking to the bus dead tired on a weekday morning, wanting to cuss out whoever decided 6 a.m. was a reasonable time to start classes for high schoolers. Like many of my listeners, I'm sure, I was amazed at the false outrage when teachers snapped at students unable to stay awake. It didn't take a degree in medicine to know this was a bad idea. Looking back, it wasn't worth going back home at 2 p.m. if it meant the higher risks of sleepiness and classmates getting killed driving to class possibly when it was still dark out. It wasn't even worth it. Please, what were we doing? I hope what Sacramento did will spread like wildfire across the country. I don't recall any stories of teenagers getting killed because they drove to school tired at my high school or anywhere across the country, but we risk it if we're foolish enough to send kids out that early in the morning. And if it means damaging teens' mental health getting up so early as it apparently does, we shouldn't even consider sticking to the current schedule any longer. All the drama of being a teenager is impossible to manage when you have to get up before sunrise. Some contend it would ruin the budget of high schools across the country. I'd ask these people if threats to budgets are such a bad trade-off for better grades amongst the student body. They'd probably say it's worth it. Besides, you cannot create an intelligent populace when you force students to wake up when being able to think clearly is out of the question. If you are of the sentiment that society is getting dumber like I am, this is an obvious change that must be made. Look, I'm not suggesting we should make high school a country club. I'm saying, at a time, the U.S.'s school system is such a joke, we have to send teenagers off to school at 9, not 6 in the morning. Simple. Let me put it this way. For those of you with a 9-to-5 job, answer me this. What would happen to office productivity if everyone left for work too tired to even think clearly? Chances are you'd see people fired in what feels like every 5 minutes because they can't focus. Wouldn't be good, would it? The education system here in the United States needs to operate by common sense, arguably more than any other institution. This is the one in charge of trying to make kids and teens the next generation of Nobel Prize winners and Rhodes Scholars. And for too long, it's avoided medical science. It's time to change things up and hold the school system accountable. Look, don't worry about after-school activities or budgets. A lot of them are being cut anyway. We need high schoolers at the maximum of their ability to understand material they are being taught if the school system is going to change for the better. It has to be done. Scratch that. It must be done. It's just sheer torture to ask a student to be able to think about algebra at 6 in the morning when every other sane human being is sleeping. It defies common sense given so few of us can think clearly before the sun comes up, period. Please, school systems, stop it. School boards across the country need to follow Sacramento's example. We'd see higher test scores and an apparent drop in the number of kids dropping out, too. Kids' safety wouldn't be in danger driving to school like it is now. What's there to lose? I don't get it. It's time for a shake-up. Grade teachers on a curve according to student success. Fire the ones that don't make the grade. Implement classes that teach critical thinking. And please, for the sake of our youth, start the day at 9 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. The school system would improve overnight, I promise you. That'd give all of us a better reason to get out of bed in the morning. This is Daniel Riley for Passionate World Internet Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in, and so long.